You fucking bastard!
So you've just done your first sort of stand-up comedy routine.
Yep.
Supported someone. How did it go? How were you feeling beforehand? Things like that.
I was incredibly nervous, like really, really nervous. I just thought I was going to walk out there and, you know, there was going to be a room full of people. I was going to start my routine and then it was going to just fall flat and there'd be stonewall silence. But it didn't turn out like that. I did go on and, as I say, I was incredibly nervous to the point where on stage I was shaking, as I've been told by numerous people. But it actually went down really well. The audience seemed to like what I had to say. You know, they laughed an awful lot at my jokes, which I was really surprised at because I didn't think I was actually that funny. But yeah, it just generally went really, really well, and it beat all my expectations of anything I could have ever hoped for.
If you can laugh heartily and clap loudly for Mr. Luke Smith, going to give you some stand-up comedy. Thank you very much.
Introduce yourself.
So, hi, I'm Luke Smith, I'm 25 years old, I'm a stand-up comic / volunteer worker. I do voluntary work at the British Heart Foundation as well as the Spring Arts and Heritage Centre, and I've also just started a career in stand-up comedy. Oh, and I also have cerebral palsy.
So why did you decide that you wanted to get into stand-up comedy and what inspired you?
Well, I've always liked stand-up comedy. I mean, growing up as a kid, you know, I always found stand-up comedy to be really funny and just different, you know. They could take any subject matter and just make it funny. You know, they can take a certain aspect of death and it can make a room full of people just howl with laughter. And I was like, well, if they can do that, you know, and make people openly laugh in hysterics, then so can I.
Walking actually to Tesco at the time, and I'm there looking in Tesco, minding my business. See this like nice old lady, you know, she's there doing I don't know what, and then fucking drops dead right in front of me. I'm like, fuck, what the hell do I do now? I'm beginning to panic, and then I stopped and went, I've seen her, and I had. I'd seen her at the checkout 5 minutes earlier, buying a bag for life.
Do you think there's anything that's off limits within comedy? Is there obviously culture and religion and things like that?
I don't think, personally at least, I don't think anything's off limits, but if you're gonna do certain things like religion, sexism, race, gender, stuff like that, you have to come at it from a certain angle so that it does come across as funny and not just wildly offensive.
I've been called every name you can fucking think of. Seriously, think of something, shout an name, come on, shout one at me.
Come!
Yeah?
You should be out there instead.
Yeah, I've been called that plenty of times, mainly by Matt, not gonna lie.
Arsehole.
Yeah, that too. So, I have to admit, the other week, I got called the single most creative insult I've ever heard in my life. I'm walking along, minding my business, as you do, all of a sudden, you just hear this. Like penguin feet.
And I kind of stopped and I looked around, I'm like, what is going on? What was that? And yeah, this like, I suppose he must have been 14 to 15-year-old kid, literally just stood maybe 10, 20 yards away from me. You know, and I turned around and said, sorry, say that again. And he went, you walk like a penguin.
Your point is what? And seriously, I'm not going to lie, this guy looked like he was a fucking person that would go on Jeremy Kyle. Seriously, I looked at his fucking teeth, he was missing at least half of them.
And I'm sort of like, sorry, do I? He's like, yeah, look at you waddling along, you frickin' penguin. And this just went on for like 5 to 10 minutes. And
to be honest with you, I mean, I sort of stood there and was like, I don't know whether to be insulted that he can call me penguin feet, or actually more insulted that something that looks like that can come up with something that fucking clever. I'll tell you. But,
I actually tried to say to him, look, it's not what you think, I have a disability, it affects me different, you know, you walk in a certain way, I walk in a certain way. But, I mean, he wasn't really paying attention. I think he was just doing it to show off to his mates. And, you know, that is sometimes a daily occurrence with me, but it doesn't affect me as much now as it did when I was growing up.
Okay, what was your school life like, and growing up, especially dealing with like your disability and cerebral palsy?
It wasn't easy at all. In school, I was constantly bullied, and of course, being so young, I really didn't have any idea as to why I was being bullied, other than I would just be randomly punched and kicked, and for no reason at all, by my classmates. Growing up with the disability that I had obviously no idea about it, so I wasn't really sure what was wrong with me, but I knew that I had to see a lot of doctors and specialists, but I wasn't sure as to why. As I got older, my school life was still a living hell. I would still go through daily verbal taunts as well as physical abuse from other students. The teachers weren't a lot of help. They seemed to say, you know, brush it off and just carry on, but it was never that easy. And it was just really, really hard. Growing up as I did, suffering the way I did, it knocked me for six. I was scared to do almost anything for fear of, I don't suppose angering people, but getting, you know, called out on having a disability and having something, even like a job, maybe taken away from me on the grounds of, oh, you have a disability, you can't have that job. But as I've gotten older and I've learned more and more to deal with it, I mean, I've probably grown in confidence as I've gotten older and I've been able to deal with the disability and the fact that I've probably got it for life more and more and more. So when it comes to the stuff like the stand-up comedy, it enhances my confidence even further, because I've got to the point now where I don't care what people say or what people think about me having a disability. It's just a part of who I am, and it's always going to be that way.
So yes, my name is Luke. Yes, I do suffer from cerebral palsy, but you know, it's one of those things in life I don't give a fuck. Seriously, I'm 25, I've lived it my entire life, you know, I don't give a fuck anymore. There's no point in hiding it. So
outside of stand-up comedy, what are your sort of interests in life and things like that?
Outside of stand-up comedy, I love to do volunteer work. I volunteer at the British Heart Foundation in Havant, as well as the Spring Arts and Heritage Centre. Both of those jobs which I absolutely love, because you actually get to meet a lot of people who have other disabilities that maybe you weren't aware of. And, you know, you get to interact with them and find, you know, they're just people like yourself, you know, like any other general person. They're just another human being. And a lot of the people I get on really well with, and they're really fun to be around. And at the same time, at least in terms of the British Heart Foundation, you know, we're raising money for a very good cause. And alongside doing both of those, I also do voluntary DJ work for 2 different radio stations, again, which I enjoy immensely.
Do you think doing the DJ work and sort of being out there as well with the public at like British Heart Foundation and stuff has sort of aided your confidence?
Yeah, I think it has, because it does, again, it puts my disability on display for everyone to see, and there's me, they're just going, look, I've got it. If you don't like it, tough, you know. If you do, then great, you know, well done.
And where would you like to take your stand-up comedy in the future, and what do you sort of want to do with your routine and things like that?
I'll develop my routine as I do more and more gigs, and I work out what jokes do work on audiences and what jokes maybe don't work so much on audiences. Obviously, I'd like to get my name more and more out there and get more well known, and hopefully, like, say, 5 to 10 years, I can be headlining stuff like maybe the O2, or, you know, venues in London, or just anywhere in England, really. But my goal would be, you know, just to have like a headline set at the O2 and just have, you know, thousands of people coming to pay to see me.
So guys, that's all I've got. You've been great. Thank you so much.
Ain't no time for